Okay, today we're going to start on our clay frame for our weaving. This is a finished one without the weaving part in it. It's just a flat slab piece of clay that I've painted on one side. It has some textures pressed into it. It should be able to get this done in one day. It's this one's kind of a free-form shape. You do it free-form, or you can actually cut a circle shape out of it. The first thing you're going to do when you get your little piece of clay is just press in the corners to make it more rounded. It's like a really fat pancake there. Set it down in between your two sticks. You're going to be using a rolling pin to roll this. You've got to make sure that you don't roll just from one direction. So what I'm going to do is stand up and roll and go back and forth a couple of times to get it started. Then I'm going to pick my piece up and turn it clockwise, and I'm going to roll from the other direction. I want this to be kind of round, so I'm going to keep turning it. This time maybe not a half, just like an eighth of a turn there. And you never want to roll going this direction. You always keep these sticks underneath to make sure it's not going to get too thin. When we've done this in the past, if it gets too thin, then it breaks very, very easily. And you might be really disappointed. And sometimes we don't have to trim it down much at all when we get done rolling. And I want to kind of make sure that it's about the thickness of these sticks. And this looks good enough. Looks pretty large, so I may want to trim that up. But before I do that, I'm going to cut out the center part before I get ready to design it. So I'm going to lay this piece of cardboard in the middle, and then I'm going to cut around that cardboard, keeping my paper clip perpendicular to the fabric so that it's not at an angle. Then I'm going to try to lift that out. You can either peel this up. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes I can take my hand underneath the fabric, push up one edge. You're not going to need this piece. We're going to recycle it. So if you would do this for me, just kind of roll it up into a circle shape, and then we'll put it with the other pieces in a bag and reuse those. And then I might want to keep it this way, or maybe I want to trim some part of it off. It needs to stay about 3 fingers wide. If you cut it down any more than that, then you're taking a chance of getting it broken. And then plus you wouldn't have much space to add your textures to it. So really, this was just about the perfect shape without doing much to it. And that's all I'm going to cut off. I want to make sure I've got 3 finger widths around there. Then I'm going to smooth these edges. And then I'm ready to put my designs in there. If you wanted to keep this piece of clay here before you roll it up into a ball, you can press into it and try some things out. You're going to gently press some designs into your clay, and then to make your textures, you could leave it like this, but it does look pretty cool to put some in there. On this one, I think we just used at the end of a pencil for those. This is a Lego imprint, and these were from some other items. On this one, I'm going to take this piece of lace and make sure that I put the bumpy side down, and I think I'm going to put it like right here on the side, and then I'm just going to gently roll it in to get it to come out good. I don't want to roll hard because I don't want to squish the clay and make it thinner. You're going to have a bowl full of things that you can use. You could leave it like that. This has a bumpy side that makes a nice texture, and I'm just going to press it in with my hand. See how that comes out if I want it up here. If you decide you don't like it, you can erase it. Legos work really well. You can come up with a design. Don't use this side because it presses in too deep. But on this side, if you wanted to create by gently pressing, you can press into it with some Legos. And I might decide to go all the way around. The clay's kind of sticky, so you don't have to press very hard. Then these need to dry for about a week before they go into the kiln. And then I have some liquid watercolors that are in nice bright colors that we're going to use to paint these before we start our weaving part. And I could keep going with some textures, or I might decide that that's all I want. Even things like the edges of the glue stick lid make really nice textures. I don't think I want it on there, so all I have to do is erase that a little bit. And maybe add in a little bit more of this right over here. And then I will be done. And what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put the holes in that we will use for the weaving. I'm going to use a straw and press those in for you. Those are a little bit tricky, so I have to make sure that we get the same number of holes on either side and that they're directly across from each other and that they're not too close. So when you get it back, it's going to have 2 holes at the top for hanging, and then it's going to have 7 holes at the top side and at the bottom side that we can string our yarn through to do our weaving. And then the textures and all that will be on there. It's going to be white when you get it back and ready to paint. So the main thing on this is not to get it too thin, either in the thickness or in the width of your frame. Because the ones that broke last year were the ones that were too thin and too thick. I mean, not thick enough on this part. And that's all there is to it.